Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing good. Welcome back to our podcast. If it is your first time, my name is Giancarlo,
And I'm Naisha.
and we're super excited just for today's episode. But before we start, Amor, what should they do?
They should subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, share this video, and follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We've been posting a lot of TikTok videos and it's super fun. So go
Hmm.
follow us on TikTok.
Yes, yes, for sure. But we are super excited for today's topic. We are talking about arguments and disagreements. So, if
Don, don, don.
dun, 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 dun. So,
Share this video to someone who needs. I'm kidding.
bro, imagine just you need this. This is for you.
That'd be
Imagine you
wild.
give it to your parents. Y'all need. Oh my
That'd
gosh,
be
bro, I
crazy.
cannot do that. But yes, arguments and disagreements, which we're super excited for. Now, keep in mind, we are not the perfect couple, but we are just a couple that is just going through life together as a young married couple, a couple who loves Jesus, and we just want to shine Jesus. And if this helps you, then that's really what it was for.
Yes.
It's just to help you. But yeah, arguments and disagreements. But before we actually start the topics, we want to share a little story about our first huge argument. Do you want to go ahead and share the story?
Okay. Our first ever argument, actually. Not even huge, but it was our first ever argument, disagreement, miscommunication, all of it. Okay.
Everything.
So this took place when we were first started dating and we were going to his nephew's football game. He plays football, shout out Christian.
Hmm.
And we were going, and we get there and, what's it called? Concession stand?
Concession stand.
Where they have like snacks and like food and stuff. So we passed that and they got something. I think your mom bought something or water. Or I don't remember.
Something.
And then he asked me like, "Hey, Amor, do you want something?" Right? And I said, "No, I'm good." Okay, because at the time, parentheses here, I thought I was good. Okay, so then I was like, "No, I'm okay." And then we go back into the football stadium. We sit down, and a couple of minutes go by, and we're there, watching the game. Keep in mind, I don't at this point I didn't know football. I didn't understand it. So I was like, I'm wondering like how does this work? Like, we were talking, everything's fine. And then I had to go to the restroom. So I told him I'm going to the restroom. Okay. So I go to the restroom. But do you want to share where this like what was your point of view here when I asked you like
Well, I mean, I believe she went to the restroom because that's what she told me. So then she came back from the restroom, and you can keep going with
okay, yeah.
that.
So I went to the restroom and then once I left the restroom, the concession stand was right there. And then I saw someone with the sneakers, like the chocolate bar, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds kind of good." So I bought a chocolate bar. I bought the sneakers. Okay, I went back and I wanted to be kind of funny. I wanted to kind of like pretend like I was hiding something or whatever. And like I sat next to him and I was kind of like eating off to the side, and he like notices and he goes, "Is that a sneakers?" And I was like, "Yeah." And tell me why his entire demeanor, his entire body language, everything, it was in a split second, it changed. But you want to tell them why?
Oh my gosh. Hearing it again, I feel so dumb and so stupid. But the reason I got angry is because I just don't like when people lie to me. I just don't like it. And the fact that I offered to buy a Snickers and being a gentleman, I was like, bro, let me like help you. And why did you lie to me? It's just the fact that I thought she lied. I literally thought she
That's
left.
the keyword thought.
Yep.
That's the keyword assume.
Yes, I assumed she went to the concession stand, lying to me that she's going to the bathroom, bought a Snickers bar, and came back. Thought I wouldn't notice, but I noticed, and I was like, "I caught you red-handed." Da 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 da. And I
Yeah.
just got angry, and like she said, my whole demeanor changed, and it was just
Body language. Like after that, it was literally silent treatment. Like the whole night. So that's his point of view, right? He's like, you lied to me. You said you went to the restroom, but you wanted a chocolate bar. I actually went to
so
the
stupid.
I actually went to the restroom. I just afterwards was like I literally saw someone. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of good. Anyways, so then I'm over here confused because I'm like, why is he not talking to me? I'm like, I had no idea what I did wrong. Okay, which nothing by the
She did
way.
nothing wrong. She did
But
nothing
it
wrong.
was I was so hurt because one, I was just there. So he was to my right, like kind of how we are, and his family was to his right. So it was his sister, his mom, and someone else. And then I'm just like over here, and he's his body language was like towards his family.
No, I wasn't like fully. My back wasn't
Not fully.
towards her, but like you can tell, my body was a little bit like angled
Yeah.
that way.
And he was laughing with his mom and with his sister. And I was just there and I was like, what just happened? Like, I had no
Oh,
idea,
I feel so
which
bad.
miscommunication, not communicating. Okay, we're going to get into all that soon. But also, me not understanding football, I was like, are you not going to explain? Like, I have no idea. Anyways, so then after that, I got really like hurt. Like, that hurt me because I had no idea why he was mad. You
Hmm.
didn't tell me what I did wrong. And so I'm over here overthinking. And so I left. I called my friend. I was like, I was crying. And then,
Did you tell her like I got mad over a Snickers?
no, because
Oh,
at the
okay.
time I had no idea. I called Chelsea.
Oh,
Shout out Chelsea. I called her and I was like, dude, he's mad and not talking to me. I don't know why. And then Chelsea was like, well, go ask him. Like, but I'm like, he's not talking to me. Like, he's giving me the
yeah.
silent
Because
treatment.
she even asked me, "Are you
I
okay?"
asked him.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay."
And I asked you like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, she did.
And
She
I was
did.
like, are you sure? And you were like, yeah, more, I'm sure. And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it was terrible. It was a terrible feeling because after the game, we got into the car and it was an hour drive back to
Yeah,
drop her
you,
off
yeah.
to her house. And that car ride, she was crying and she was like, "I don't like this feeling of being ignored. I hate this." And I'm over here like, bro, I'm a jerk. What the heck is my problem? But the root behind it was just insecurities, and we'll go into that later on in the podcast, but I was just insecure,
Yeah.
you know? But that was
I think,
so dumb.
and so from that story, I think that was like our first ever argument,
Argument.
and disagreement and all of that. And so, kind of like after that, our relationships we've learned along the way,
1000%.
and
Hmm.
that leads us to our first point.
But keep in mind, guys, this was years
Oh
ago.
no, yeah, this was 3 years ago,
3 years ago. I am way better now,
3 or
okay?
4, 3, yeah, 3 years
Oh, yeah,
ago.
3, almost 4. But keep in mind, that was a long time ago. I learned from my mistakes. It was my fault. I did everything wrong. She did nothing wrong, okay? So don't come at me. She did everything right. I did everything wrong. But yeah,
Now we look back at it now, and we're like, that was so dumb.
I feel so goofy.
And we find it funny now. But that leads us to our first point of
Yes.
today's podcast, and that is to not assume.
Hmm.
Never assume. So, like, what did he do? He assumed I lied. He assumed that I didn't go to the restroom and that I just wanted a sneaker. Instead of asking me, like, hey, did you actually went to the restroom or did you just wanted to buy the sneaker? Right? Instead of communicating, right? So
Asking.
we got this from Pastor Pepe. Shout out Pastor Pepe. But he was like, hey, never assume because that leads to mistrust. Is that what it's called? Like not trusting the other person
Yeah.
because you're just assuming. That leads to confusion
Hmm.
because you were confused.
Anger.
Anger. I was confused. Overthinking. You start overthinking. And so, like, for example, Giancarlo, like, you're more like quiet, more like
Oh,
mellow,
yeah.
especially when he's tired. I always think he's mad because he's just like,
I really think I have an RBF face. I
when you're
think when
tired,
I'm
you kind of
tired
do.
and I don't want to. So I feel like I'm a jolly person,
But when you're
you
tired,
know?
I'm like, he's. And then so at first, not knowing this about him, I would assume that I'm annoying, that I'm annoying him, that I'm like, oh, I'm too much right now. I'm being too much because I'm more of a, like,
She shows her emotions more. She's more expressive.
yeah. So do not assume.
Yeah, don't assume. It's probably one of the worst things you can do because, like, I know there was a lot of times where I assumed back then a while ago. Keep in mind, the root of my assuming was just a foundation of insecurities in myself. How I am as a boyfriend back then. And there's times where like she wouldn't answer me for like a couple hours, and I'm like, bro, she's cheating on me. She's talking to a guy. She has to be doing that. Why? Because what's up?
No,
Oh, they can say something.
no.
But why? Because I'm like I'm insecure. Or even like for example, so we have our locations, and I don't check the location very often. How many times do you check the location? A
I just
week.
want to know what you're up
How many
to.
times do you check my
This
location?
is not about being obsessed with you.
How
This
many?
video is about disagreements and
Tell me
arguments.
how many a week.
And just a couple times. Okay, so I always want to call him when I'm like driving, and so I check to see if he's at work or if you're like good to call, or like when I wake up because you're always like a morning person. So I'm like, did he go somewhere? Like, did he?
So answer the question. How
I
many
actually
times a
don't
week?
know.
I love that she does that. I love that she does that. But So we have our
By the way,
location.
it's not me jealous or
No, I know.
whatever.
Yeah, I
It's just
know.
like I just genuinely want to see what he's up to because
Yeah.
sometimes he takes forever to respond. You want to talk about that? No. This video being about
I
arguments or like
know, bro. I think about this.
yeah.
But so we have our location, right? And back then, like, I wouldn't check it often, but like if she wouldn't answer me, I would check where she is to make sure she's not like out of someone's house or somewhere where that she's not usually, because I think she's doing something like she's trying to hide something from me. So like assuming just leads to confusion and anger. It would make me angry. And if you're someone who's assuming, oh my gosh, like it's just gonna bury you. And if instead of assuming, ask,
Yes,
where are you?
communicate. Yeah.
Yes, communicate. What are you doing? How are you? You
Yeah.
know.
Or hey, like I feel are you just like are you tired or
Hmm.
did I do something? And then if the other person says they're tired, they're tired. you
Yes,
know,
and
like
believe them, literally.
it takes me like 3 times to be like, "Are you sure?"
Oh my gosh, She says I have to ask her 3 times in order for her to tell me how she's doing. Is that
For
a
I
girl?
think for girls, like I'm like that where I'm like at the third time I'm like, "Okay, no, this is what's wrong," you know. So,
My gosh, I think guys are the same way too,
yeah.
though.
Yep.
Yeah, but don't assume.
Number
Yes,
1, don't assume.
yes. And the next topic is pick and choose your arguments. Is it worth it? Does it really affect you?
Mhm.
Like for example, the Snickers one.
That was so dumb.
That was not worth it whatsoever. But we want to read this verse, which is James 19:11, and I believe it really goes hand in hand with this topic. But you want to read the verse, someone?
Yes. It says, "Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense."
Yeah, so like good sense, like be in the right state of mind. Don't go off of feeling. Really think. Okay, should I really be arguing about this? There's little things that like
Yeah.
happen. It's just like it's not. Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Were you gonna say something? Oh, okay, they're gonna say something. But like one thing I was taught by one of our teachers at CF&I, Pastor Micah. He said it takes so long to fill up a bucket of pennies, a long time, but it just takes a second to ruin it and to lose it all.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with those arguments, or picking and choosing your arguments because like you really want do you really want that little argument to affect your whole relationship? And by the way, I got that from Daniel taught me about picking and choosing the arguments.
Yeah.
And there's another thing we have under there. What does it say?
Um, I heard this
Oh yeah.
somewhere, but it says it's never you against your partner, it's you against the problem. And so if you really think about it, if you guys have like a disagreement, if you guys are fighting about something, I just feel like it's so helpful to take a step back and be like, what are we fighting like for? Or like, can we fight this together instead of being like against each other? Because a lot of the times it's like it's a problem and then it's you guys trying to figure that out, you know? And so just think about that, next time. Like it's not me fighting against my partner. It's like we have this disagreement. Let's try to solve it. Let's communicate. Let's not assume. And then this is it worth it? Like really wondering that. Is it worth it?
Yeah, and sometimes like I think maybe I think both obviously, but even like as a husband, like or even as a wife, like you don't have to win every argument.
It's not about winning.
It's not at all like you said. We're for each other. And, just because you're yelling, also does not mean you're winning the argument. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Which that's another point we're getting to.
Oh,
Actually, yeah,
oh yeah. Might as well go into it because oh no, that's like the fourth point.
yeah, that's
So,
a fourth
but
point.
one thing I did want to say though, before we go on to the next point, is that oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So like one thing one actually our boss taught us this. It's like say we're having like a disagreement about something. It's okay to be like, okay, I'm gonna suck my pride down. I'm gonna bite my tongue and I'm gonna say, okay, you're
Mhm.
right. I'm sorry. We'll go with what you said.
Compromise.
There you go. Compromise. So that's all I just wanted to say for that
That's
one.
good. The next one is trying to see it from the other person's point of view because it's so easy to like want to be right. Like just like you said, like I'm right, you're wrong. I'm winning the argument. You're not. Like it's so easy to get in that mindset because who knows, maybe you could be right. But if you take a moment and you pause and you're like, how did this feel to the other person or what like how did it sound it to them? Like let's say you said something into your partner that like hurt them, that was like that really like made them really sad. And to you that was like, no, but I didn't mean it like that. So I
Yeah.
didn't mean it like that. Like, you get mad and you're like, no, that's not what I said. Okay, pause. Okay, what if I was hurt? If I was him, how did it sound to this person? Okay, and seeing it from their perspective. And a lot of times comes with putting again your pride down and just like compromise and be like, okay, it might have actually hurt them and let me apologize.
Yeah, no, I think you hit everything. It's exactly right because if you're not looking at the other person's point of view, you're just kind of being selfish. You're only worried about how you feel, how I feel, not worrying about what the other person feels. So I think that's actually a really good one.
Yeah. And
Mm.
just remember, like, if, for example, in a marriage, like, you're now one.
Yeah.
Like, it's not you against him or him against, like, you guys are one. And
Yeah.
so that's really helpful to do.
And this is not just about marriage, guys. This whole podcast today is about relationships with parents or friends or whatever it is, right?
Dating relationships.
Yeah, anything like that. And also from point of views, you have to understand is that when you're talking to someone or you have a relationship with someone, they were raised differently,
Yeah.
different cultures, and like sometimes it's hard to like really adapt to it, but you have to try to adapt to it. I'm Mexican, she's Puerto Rican. There's certain things that she does, certain things that I do. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Or even the way my mom raised me, the way her mom raised her. So you just have to really be patient and understand where they're coming from, and not just get angry about it, because you were raised differently.
Yes.
Hmm. But next one. No, I'm sorry. It's because there's times where I think she's gonna keep going. So my bad. Yeah, you want to go to the next one?
Yes.
Cool. So the next one is tone. That was a big one for me.
It was.
Tone was a very big struggle for me. Not intentionally. Like I'm not a yeller. I don't think
No,
I've really ever.
you haven't raised your voice at all.
Even though she always tells me like I'm yelling at her. Oh
I
my
always
gosh.
joke because,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
if he tells me, like, for example, last week I was sick and he was like, you need to take your medicine. Like, literally like that. And I was like, no me grites. I was like, don't yell at me, but I'm just playing. But tone was definitely something I struggled coming from his.
Yeah, talk about it. Like, how was it?
Well, first let's read these verses. Okay,
Oh
so we
yes,
have
yes, yes, yes.
Proverbs 15:1, which says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger."
Anger.
And then James 1:19, "Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger."
Hmm.
And so, okay, with tone, there was a couple times, like, for example, I said earlier that when he gets tired, he gets really quiet and stuff like that. But when he talks, when he's tired, his tone is really like, it almost sounds like he's annoyed, like he's mad, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not. And so that's also another thing, like me not assuming or trying to like not assume. But when it comes to arguments, like tone has a lot to do with it because if you raise
Yeah.
your voice, that's not going to help at all for you guys to come to a solution. Like
Yeah.
that's not helpful
Like
at
it
all.
says, a soft answer turns away wrath.
Exactly. Like it's so important, like I said, to just pause. Like if you need to be like, you know what, right now, I don't like, I need a break. I need 10 minutes. Let me like calm down. If that's you, like if you're someone who like, you get mad easily or whatever, like it's okay to be like, give me 10 minutes. We'll come back to this. Because again, if you start like yelling, if you start like raising your voices at each other, that's not healthy communication.
Mhm. Yeah, and when you start raising your voice and you start getting in the heat of the moment, you start saying things that you don't mean, but it comes out and it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Like bad words, disrespecting your other partner, or just even yelling, or even like hitting the wall or anything like that. Like you have to relax and stay calm, because the goal is not to get angry. If there's gonna be a confrontation or whatever it is, you have to realize and remember, okay, what is the end goal of this conversation? How do I want this to end? Do I
Yeah.
want this to end in peace, or do I want this to end ugly? And majority of the time, you want it to end in peace. So again, if we don't want to stir up any anger,
Yeah.
that's the goal. I mean, who wants to be angry?
Hmm.
In a relationship.
But also, I think you do a really good job at this because so I'm more of a sensitive person. I'm the
It's
sensitive
okay.
one, and tone for me is very important. Like, and he knows that. And so when there's times where, even not in arguments, but even when he wants to encourage me or something or push me like to like for my dreams and goals, like towards those,
No, just no. Actually, really, we just.
yeah. So for example, I really want to do social media. And so I was like today I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to vlog. Like I don't want to." And he pushing me towards that. He was like, "No, but like you're doing so good. Like I love your video." And it was his tone. Like I don't know what it is about when he speaks to me like that. It just like hits a good spot in my heart.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, and I'm like, so and then it's the same thing when we like have disagreements
Oh.
because I've realized you do this. You realize when you start like kind of like not your you never raise your voice at me at all, but you kind of realize when you're not speaking to me in the way I like. And so
Really?
yeah, I've seen it because you go like, amor, and then you like, I'm so sorry, and then you like bring it down. And I've realized you do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You do. And so I like, and when you before you realize, I'm kind of I want to start crying. I'm like, oh no, he's about to like get kind of like mad or whatever. But then when I see that he realizes that his tone is not what I would like to hear, and you bring it down, I appreciate that, and it makes me be
Oh,
like, okay, like it makes me be like kind of connect with you in that, you know.
yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm awesome. I'm
Whatever.
joking. No, but sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, but no, but yeah. It's just like you're not trying to hurt your partner. Like that's not the goal. You
Yeah.
know, you're supposed to support them and find a solution. And like how it says in James 1:19, let every person be quick to hear and slow to speak and slow to anger.
Yeah.
Be quick to hear. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget. These are like vivid moments when we're talking or we're having a disagreement. Like I want to like share my point,
Yeah.
and I say something, and she's like talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm interrupting, and I was like, I'm so sorry for interrupting. Say your spiel.
Yeah.
Even if it takes 5 minutes, she is saying everything that she wants to say. And when she says everything she wants to say, she will allow you to say everything you want to say because you are respecting her. You're respecting her thoughts.
Mhm.
You are saying, hey, your opinion, your feelings are valid.
Yeah.
And I'm showing that because I'm listening and I'm not interrupting you. And so yeah.
Also, I also heard this somewhere and it's so helpful, but it said, I forgot exactly what it was, but it said, don't make it a you, make it an I. Is like what that means is like when you start arguing with a person or like fighting, it's so easy to be like, no, you did this, no, you said this, like you hurt me, like blah, and like pointing the finger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when you start saying like turning that and just being like, no, this is how I feel. This is how that made me feel like, and just kind of sharing what you feel literally because it's so easy to be like, you point the finger, and that's where pride comes in and anger comes in, and you just want to make sure that you're the one who's right. And that's where all that comes in, and it's not healthy. It doesn't come to a solution at the end of the day. Whereas if you both are like, hey, this is how I feel, you listen to that person and you're just like, okay, I get you. And then it's your time to be like, okay, so then this is how I feel. And then at the end of that, how do we come together and just solve this?
Mm-hmm. Love it.
All right.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Next one. Okay. Number 5 is forgive and forget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Ephesians 4:31 through 32. Do you want to read this one? This one gives me a like I always get
Yeah.
tongue
Yeah.
twisted.
Yeah. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and yeah, okay, guys, yeah, these words are kind of tough, at least for me. And clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice or malice. I'm sorry. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. Ephesians 4:31 through 32. We should have got a better version. Honestly, we need to go back to school.
I know.
Jeez.
But yeah, forgive, but not just forgive, forget, right? Because it's so easy to be like, "Oh, I forgive you," but then you still have that and you still hold that, and then the next argument comes, you bring it up, and you're like, "Oh, but remember last time?" You know, it's so easy to do that, and so
Yeah.
like it's literally like it says, "Forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you," right? Like I feel like arguments and disagreements they need to be managed with love and forgiveness. Like out of that comes like if you deal an argument with love and forgiveness, like you're good. I feel like that's
Gotcha.
the two of the most important things you can do because if you love them, if you forgive, your tone, you're not going to raise your voice because you love this person. You don't want to hurt this person.
Mhm.
If you love and forgive, you're not going to bring it up again and get into another argument or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and guys, I think we have to look at the biggest example of forgiveness, and that's Jesus. Like, how can Jesus forgive the whole world after spitting on him, turning their backs on him, being ugly towards him, slandering him, just doing a bunch of horrible things? And he said, I forgive you. I am dying for your sins, and I'm giving you an opportunity to be right with me. How can Jesus forgive all of us, the whole world, give up his life for us, and we can't forgive our partner for leaving something on the ground?
Or if we're buying a sneaker.
Or for buying a Snickers, right? How can we not forgive that? That to me, that's just like, it's amazing to me. And when you realize that Jesus forgave the whole world, and you realize you can forgive your partner for that little thing or even that big thing, it just makes everything a lot better. And you even realize when you learn to forgive each other, you learn to love each other more. It just, at least for us, it just somehow it just happens. I feel closer to her when I forgive her. So yeah, if Jesus can forgive us, you can forgive our partner. Now, there's some things obviously that's pretty hard to forgive. I really think you should always forgive, and there are some things hard that are hard to forget. But don't get me wrong. But I'm sure we can all do our best to forgive and forget.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also, um, when we forgive each other, like genuinely, because you can just say it, you can just be like, "Oh
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
forgive you," but if you don't mean it, you're you're lying to yourself, you're lying to your partner, and at the end of the day, it's gonna come back up at some point if you don't genuinely forgive them. But for us, we've had so many bumps. We call them bumps, arguments and disagreements. But we've had so many, and because we genuinely forgive, I don't remember like
I don't either.
90% of our arguments,
I don't
except
either.
the sneaker one, which is the
So
dumbest.
I guess it was our first
It was
one.
our first one. Um, but looking back, I'm like, dude, like I don't remember what we were fighting about. Like, what was it? Like, because we genuinely forgive, and the Bible says that like when Jesus forgives, he like forgets. Like he doesn't bring it up again. Like, oh, you sinned in this way. Like, remember when you did that? No, he forgets because he loves you, and so in a
Yeah.
relationship, that's very important.
Yeah. And one thing too, I want to add on, what will help your partner forgive you is if you take accountability for what you did.
That's good.
Because
Period.
there's like, I'll give you an example. When I'm asking Nasha for forgiveness, and I learned this from Pastor Tim. He taught a marriage and counseling class. So shout out Pastor Tim. I'm like, say I did something, and I'm like, Amor, I am so sorry for what I did. I am so sorry that I made you feel that way.
Yeah,
And I take accountability and responsibility for making you feel this way.
you do. You
I
say
am
that.
sorry, and can you please forgive me?
Mhm.
And I'm like,
And then when he says that, then I'm quick to be like, I do forgive you, and then I'm sorry. Because sometimes, have you realized for I think
no, I think, yeah,
for the
yeah.
girls, it takes a little bit to, I guess, take accountability. But when you take charge of that, then I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. And then I like take
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah, you also have to. One thing I learned from Nisha is that not everyone is gonna forgive and forget as fast as you. Me, it's really easy for me to forgive and forget. I think I got that from my mom. But it's really easy for me to forgive and forget. Give me like 10 minutes and I'm good.
Yeah.
Nisha takes a little bit of time, which is okay. Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
It depends. Like an hour, a day.
I don't think it's ever lasted a day, like
No,
a
it's
longer than
never
a day.
lasted a day.
But it's under. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
I think I said a day because it's been like at night where we have our
Oh,
arguments, and
yeah.
then it takes me, I guess, like the whole night sleeping through it. I guess. Yeah. Which also, I know there's a saying, or I think it's in the Bible where it talks about
It does in the Bible.
before you like go to bed or before you go to sleep, like
Before the sun rises.
before the sun rises. There it is. Talk to your part. Like what is it? Like forgive or
I don't know the
I
exact one.
forgot
I can't
exactly.
quote it right now.
But I feel like that's good to do as well. But sometimes you can sleep on it. Sometimes you can just be like, let's just go to bed.
But for sure, talk about it though.
No, talk
Yeah,
about it.
talk
Yes,
about it.
but for me, for example, there's been so many times where we talk. It was through FaceTime because we were not living together, and we talked about it. We like forgave each other, but then for me to forget, it takes me like me to sleep. Like I'll sleep tomorrow, then like I just forget it.
Hmm.
But for you, it's so like it's easier to do.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, yeah, yeah. But okay, I'm going to the next one. Okay. So yeah, next topic is do not tell people about your arguments and disagreements. I think this is a huge, huge one. Um,
Puppy. Sorry.
there's a window in front of us and a puppy passed by. That wasn't a puppy. That was a puppy. It
I
was
call
a
all
big dog.
dogs puppy.
It was a big dog. But yes, don't tell people about your arguments and disagreements. Do you want to read the verse real quick?
Yes, it is Matthew 18:15 through 16. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of two or three witnesses. Oh, sorry. That sounded like I was going to keep going. Witnesses.
Yeah, I think this is a huge one, and I do want to talk about before I get ahead of myself. I'll keep going, but yeah, this is a big one. There's a reason why it's between you and your partner. You didn't date, you didn't marry someone else, right? Or have a relationship. This is friendships with parents or whatever it is, right? So like, say we're in an argument, I'm not going to my best friend, to my brother Jared. I'm like, Jared, did you hear about? Look what Nasha did. She made me feel like this. She did that. She did that.
Mhm.
And the reason I'm not doing that is because I'm protecting our relationship, and he's not he's not in this relationship. This is not his relationship. He has his own relationship, right?
Yeah.
There's no need for me to go and vent to this other person when I'm an adult, I'm grown enough, and I'm mature enough to figure this out with my wife. Even with friendships, especially friendships, don't bring it to social media.
That leads to gossip and other
It
stuff.
leads to gossip and other things. And you know what that also shows and allows? It allows for other voices to come into your relationship when there should be no other voice besides you and your partner, God,
God.
or a counselor, right? Or whatever it
A
is,
mentor, yeah.
a mentor, your spiritual father, mother, whatever it is. But there should be no other outside voices besides you two and your counselor and God. Because once they come in, oh my gosh, it's a whole show. And as
Hmm.
voices start coming in, they start giving their own opinions, and you are like, oh my gosh, maybe you are right. And then those opinions start going to you and your relationship. And she's like, where is this coming from? Oh, it's coming from this outside person. Well, where's that outside person coming from? Why are they in our relationship? They shouldn't be in it, right?
Yes.
Even were you gonna say something?
No, I'm just
Um,
agreeing with you.
even like one thing too, like I really feel like I feel like the Holy Spirit's kind of telling me to say this, and I don't say that often. I never really say that.
You never say, I don't know.
Um, sorry, what? You like what?
I'm like, "Well, okay.
Yeah, I really feel like I'm talking about parents. We aren't parents. We have no experience with having children. Okay, so we don't know what it's like to be parents. We love all parents. We respect all parents. But I really feel like something I want to talk about because I'm a son, obviously, and I have a mom and dad who I love so much. Um, so I know what it feels like to be a son. Um, but mom and dad, not my mom and dad, but like mom and dads out there, like when you guys are arguing, don't bring your children in it. I don't think there's a need for that. Because for at least for and my parents never did that, but I have seen my parents, argue in front of me, and it like hurts. Thankfully it was never like terrible. And they don't argue a lot. I promise you, they don't. They love each other so much. I total respect for them. 50+ years of marriage, I think. Oh no, that's their age. Like 30+ years of marriage. They've been married since the womb. Imagine. They're already married. But like when you say I do, I say I do.
I just realized what you said.
Yeah, 50+ years
No, the example, like what you said about the baby, I was like,
from the womb. Yeah, but oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But
I'm
time out,
sorry.
time out, time out.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. But like when parents are arguing in front of their children, like it just hurts. No child likes to see their parents argue. Oh my gosh, you need a minute? You want to take a seat?
Can't hear me.
Okay, that's so funny. But yeah, no child likes to hear their parent argue, and no child likes to see their parents get verbally, aggressive or maybe even physically aggressive, right? So do your best to not show your arguments in front of your children, and don't even like don't tell your dad about this, but he made me feel like this, made me feel like that. It's like no, it's between you and your husband. It's between you and your wife. Keep that, do it in the room, figure it out in the room. Just make sure they don't see because you want them to see a loving, caring mother and father. So that's just one thing I wanted to share because that does hurt your children. It doesn't only just hurt you and your spouse, but it hurts your children as well. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. I do want to say something though. I feel like if there's like a fight that you had with your partner or like an argument, and it's kind of like a big one, it's kind of like maybe you two cannot like haven't been able to solve it. right? Like maybe you've tried communicating, you've tried everything, and it just like you can't solve it. Then that's where the verse says, like, then bring in one or two other people.
Yeah.
But I feel like those one or two other people, it can't just be so and so because like let me like bend to this person. No, like mentors, right? Like your pastor, your leader, your spiritual father, whatever it
Hmm.
is, like, hey, I my partner and I, we had this fight, like, can you pray for me? Or whatever it is, like then I think that's when it's okay. But when you go to your friends and be like, oh my gosh, like I just had this argument with Giancarlo and I just that's where it's like, don't do that because you want to protect your partner and y'all's relationship.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this too. Obviously we love our parents, but we don't tell our parents our
We
arguments.
don't.
There's no need for that. Because if we go and tell our parents, I'm not saying this will happen with our parents. I'm speaking from what I've been taught, by Pastor Tim again, and it can happen. When you go to your parents, say Nasha did something to me, right? And I tell my mom and my dad, well, whose side are they going to be on? My side because they're my parents. I'm their son, so they're gonna start giving their opinions, and they're just gonna take my side, and their opinions can affect my opinions and my thoughts towards her. So there's no need to tell your parents. No, you can go for advice and everything, obviously, but
Yeah.
like, there's no need for you to tell them exactly what happened, because
Details.
details, because that can bring a lot of opinions in. But that's just us.
Yeah.
If you feel like you need to tell your mom and dad everything, okay, cool. But this is what's worked for us. And if you've been telling your parents and it's not working, maybe try this and maybe just keep it between y'all two and figure it out between y'all 2.
Yes.
Hmm.
All right. And then the last point that we want to share is ask your partner what they need to feel better. So, what does that mean? So, your partner, the way they deal, or kind of like the way they calm themselves down, or kind of like how they need more time, it's different than you. So, like maybe asking them, like, hey, do you do this? He does a very good job at this. Where when we have an argument, and he notices that I'm not like talking. Like he notices that I'm very quiet. I'm just kind of still crying. And he says like, "You just do you need me to just be quiet?" And I'm like, I'm just nodding because I can't talk. And then he asks me again, do you want me here? Do you want me to leave? And I'm like, no, you can stay. And then he just gives me time because that's how I deal with it. I just want to cry it all out. And then once I have no tears left, I can then talk. So you do a very good job at this. But again, just ask them like, hey, do you just need me to be here with you? Do you need 10 minutes? And then we can talk about it later and asking them what they need.
Yeah.
I did it again.
What?
But you thought I was going to keep going.
No, you said neat.
Oh,
Yeah, I love her accent. So God literally listens to like your prayers. I was like, God, I love accents. Yeah, I
I
gotta put
can't
it.
say CH or anything like that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't think there was nothing with the
No,
CH.
there wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, just ask what you need to ask what they need to feel better, because that would also make them feel like, oh my gosh, like you care about my feelings.
Yeah.
You know?
That's simple.
Yep.
Mhm.
There you go. And then what's that last part? You want to read that?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, when it comes to arguments and disagreements, it all has to be from a place of love and forgiveness. And I feel like this verse, which I feel like everyone knows it, it just ties in everything. So it's First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 8. It says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes for all things, and endures all things. I feel like literally
Amen.
that verse summarized everything because it says, be patient, be kind, don't boast to other people about, your fights or whatever. Don't be rude. That's tone, don't insist on your own way. Like that's like not trying to make sure that you're the right one and it's, you're the one who wins the argument or,
Hmm.
don't be resentful. Like that's when forgetting comes in. Like just forget about it. Don't hold that in. Um, don't rejoice at wrongdoing. Like all that. Like I feel like that summarizes everything we talked about.
One
Because
thousand
love
percent.
bears all things.
Yes, 1000%. I love it. I'm gonna love it. Now, real quick, before we end, I would love to do something. She
Oh,
she has no idea what I'm gonna ask. I think we should do We listen and we don't judge. And then
Oh
we can get we
gosh.
listen and we appreciate.
Okay.
Okay, do you have one already?
So if they don't
Okay, yeah,
know,
yeah. You want to explain it?
yeah. So there's this trend on TikTok where it says we listen but we don't judge, and it's basically where you're listening to your partner shares like all these things that they did or they said or whatever, and then you have to listen to what they're saying but not judge. Like you can't be like, "What you did that?" or you can't judge. And then there's another part of it where it's like we listen and we appreciate, and you just listen to things that you appreciate about your partner.
Yep.
Is the appreciate one we're doing?
We'll do both.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh.
You want to do the listen and we don't judge first?
Yes.
Do you have one?
No.
Okay.
I feel like you come prepared.
No, I literally just thought about this like
Oh.
2 minutes ago.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you know this about me. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
We
Listen,
listen
but
and
we
we
don't
don't
judge.
judge. Okay. Hopefully you don't know this about me. But when I was in summer school, okay, I was in summer school when I was very young. I think like fourth or third grade. I don't know what got into me, but we were in summer school. We were waiting to go to the gym. But I had to use the restroom. So I went to the restroom and I'm using the urinal. And I had a brilliant idea of stepping back and peeing all over the walls.
I know this.
Oh, you know this?
Yeah.
Oh,
You did it
really?
in your mom's.
Oh, well, that sucks. Are you judging me?
No. Not no, absolutely not.
Dang, I'm sorry. Well, that was kind of lame.
Okay. My turn.
We
We
listen
listen
and
and
we
we
don't
don't
judge.
judge. Oh gosh, wait, I haven't thought about this.
Brett.
It's because I feel like you know everything.
When you were younger, I don't know,
Oh,
something.
okay. Um, when I was younger, we listen and we don't judge people.
Yeah, we were young, okay? We were little. We're adults now. We understand, We're not like this no more. I'm peeing in the restroom.
You know this already, but I guess for them.
Oh, really?
When I was younger, I used to take out my boogers and when I was like sleeping. Like yeah, and keep in mind I'm sleeping, right? And I used to just be like
No. No
and
way.
put it in the wall. We listen and
we
we don't
don't
judge.
judge. Save it for later.
And then I used to wake up and there'd be like a lot of boogers. I would clean it, obviously.
Yummy. Salty.
That's funny.
Okay, you want to do a listen and we appreciate?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it with arguments though. Like, what are some
Okay.
things?
Okay, ready? You
Yeah.
want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Okay.
We listen and we appreciate.
I really appreciate how you take accountability, even though you sometimes are right. But you, but you still take accountability because you know that'll help me to be okay and like also take accountability.
I love you, Ahmad.
Yeah.
Okay. We listen and we appreciate. I really appreciate how patient you are with me. I know sometimes my mind can be all over the place, and I know sometimes I can not be extra, but I don't feel like I'm extra, but
Mm.
I feel like sometimes like I can be, what's the word? I don't know, just certain things that I do, and I'm really appreciative that you're patient with me and your forgiveness towards me. And I love you so much.
I love you.
Mm.
And
Cool.
that's it.
That's it.
All
That's
right.
it. Cool. You want to send
That's
us
a
off?
wrap. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Hey, that's a wrap. Sorry.
That's gonna end up our second podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. Again, we're not a perfect couple. We're just learning like you guys. We just
Yeah.
got married 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah,
Which is
3 weeks ago.
Yep, which is pretty cool. But if you want to share this with someone, go ahead and share it. But what should they do, Amor? What should they do?
They should first comment in this video what other podcast
Topics, yeah.
topics you want us to talk about and let us know. And then like this video, share this video, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time.
Next time. Okay. Bye, guys.
Peace out, everyone.
I love you, Amor.
Don't let your shorts rip.
Oh yeah, my pants ripped on the first
Also,
podcast.
by the way, we'll end it after this because they need to know that we had filmed this
Oh my gosh.
last week, and there
2 weeks
was
ago.
2 weeks. No, last week.
You were on your
Oh,
trip last week.
2 weeks ago, and it had no audio. So when we turn this off, we're like praying. But
There's
yeah,
audio. If not, this
we
gonna be
have
on
a
the
plan
phone.
B over here.
Yeah, so if it doesn't sound the best because the audio's not there, we're so sorry.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, everyone. Peace out, everyone.
Okay.
I keep going.
All right.